All right, everyone. Welcome to Total Football Talk. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Eric.
And we're going to touch on some of these games really quickly. Eric, I'm going to go quick with the Falcons and Eagles game. There's a couple things here that I think need to be mentioned. Number one, Julio Jones continues to struggle in big moments of late. Now, this isn't necessarily a trend that I'm going to sit here and say is a Julio Jones trait by and large, because he has had big moments, but he's really been struggling, and I don't know if it's Steve Sarkisian's offense, or what, but it's starting to hurt, I think, his reputation as a big-time, a big play guy, a big moment guy. He's a big play receiver. He's a number one, and any team would love to have him, but I'm getting a little worried about his ability to show up in big moments at the right time, especially the last 2 years. Or a year and a half.
Yeah, right. Hard to argue 10 receptions, 169 yards in the game. But, the last their last game last year against Philly in the divisional game, and this year the Atlantis had a chance to win twice. And they haven't been able to come through. So, who knows if it's on Julio, who knows if it's on Matt Ryan, who knows if it's on Sarkisian, but they got to figure that out.
Yeah, to be sure. And I do want to say a couple things here about the Eagles. I think they played really, really well. I think they're legit, and I don't see any reason to deter me from saying it's going to be the Rams and Eagles or Rams and Vikings in the championship game, depending how things shape out. They look like they're going to be a pretty solid football team. And defensively, all of that talk that you said about Haloti Ngata, it came into fruition in that game because I didn't see Atlanta run the ball particularly well at all, especially inside.
Yeah, Freeman had nowhere to run. Coleman got the rushing touchdown, and that was pretty much it for the Falcons. It was an 18-12 game. There really wasn't much scoring. And just to give you guys a heads up, Matt Ryan to Julio Jones in the red zone, 1 for their last 21. So they got some work to do.
So, speaking of work to do, somebody has a lot of work to do. Somebody has to explain to me something. Could somebody please explain to me why Nathan Peterman is a quarterback in the National Football League? Like, legit, my 4-year-old can do better. He certainly throws a better spiral. This whole idea that Josh Allen couldn't play against Baltimore and then finally goes in and, oh, shocker, the only time Buffalo moved the ball is when he was in the lineup. Now, 47-3, if you're a Bills fan, it may be another 12 years before you see another postseason game. If Nathan Peterman and that decision process continues to be what runs Buffalo. I don't know what McDermott was thinking. Because Nathan Peterman wasn't good in college. I'm sorry. He was garbage. Then you bring him into the pros, and he performs exactly the way you'd expect. You've got this kid in Josh Allen. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to lose 47-3. Oh, yeah, that already happened. I promise you, if Nathan Peterman or if Josh Allen was a starting quarterback, Buffalo still loses to Baltimore, but it ain't 47-3. And don't turn around and say, yeah, it'd probably be 64-2. Shut up. Yeah.
I swear, Anthony, you know me.
Damn right I know you.
Here's what I'm going to touch on. One team came to play, the other team didn't, and it's going to be a very long season in Buffalo. The number one pick Buffalo selects, because they're headed that way. That's where
okay.
They're headed.
Look, I'm going to say this. I don't think Buffalo is this bad. You talk about overreaction Mondays. I don't think Buffalo is as bad as that game indicates, provided they put the right guy under center. Now, why they got rid of A.J. McCarron, I will never know. But And as far as I'm concerned, that was a dumber trade than Khalil Mack. Because your option, if you trade A.J. McCarron, if it wasn't Josh Allen, drink a 32-ounce glass of bleach. Just end it. You have no value in life in this profession. You're an idiot. Quit, retire, get fired, something. So they trade A.J. McCarron, not to go with Josh Allen, but to go with Nathan Peterman. Yeah, you're going to lose 47-3. By the way, if anybody had Baltimore's defense in fantasy, I think you put up 314 points alone with the frickin' Ravens. But I digress. Actually,
the Jets defense put up more, if you can believe it.
Yeah, 28. I know. We'll talk about that. Look, Baltimore looks good. How good, I'm not going to say yet, because I think their toughest challenge this season comes up this week on Thursday night.
Yes, thank you. I was about to say that exact same thing.
Yeah, to me, that's going to be the real measuring stick. Jacksonville at the Giants. I don't even remember my score, but bro, it was 20-15. I wasn't that far off. Jacksonville looked good. I mean, the Giants look good. I thought it was a well-played football game between two teams. I think the Giants are a much improved team and played exactly the way I thought they would. And I think the Jaguars' defense is as good as advertised with a few moments of, first game rust. But by and large, I have nothing negative to say about either one of these teams.
Saquon Barkley had a good game. He took off on a 68-yard touchdown run. The rest of the Giants' offense was just, okay. I'm sure the Jaguars are very happy that they had the Giants first because they get the Patriots next, and they can use some tackling techniques in practice this week, especially going up against Gronk because he's not going to be easy to take down.
Well, just remember, in today's football, you're not allowed to tackle.
That's right.
The target is 3 inches below the NFL logo on the neck and 2 inches to each side. Anywhere else, it's a 25-yard penalty. They just made a new rule.
Well, and what's funny about that is that I saw, and we'll even touch on this, but I saw a roughing the passer penalty in the Rams-Raiders game on Aaron Donald while Derek Carr still held on to the football.
He was sacked.
You don't see that often.
You don't see that ever. You get a roughing the passer on a quarterback sack.
Right. Because he went low. Where the hell is he supposed to go?
Considering that he was falling down.
Right.
Don't even get me started. And this whole falling on top of the quarterback thing, I'm serious. Get him tampons and let him play. Like, at this point, put a skirt on him, give him a bag of tampons, and say, go cheerlead. They're not football players anymore. The quarterback position is no longer... I have more respect for punters and kickers in this league than I do quarterbacks. I'm sorry, I do. I have no respect for quarterbacks in this league. Every single one of them are a bunch of friggin' pansies. If you fart within a 100-mile radius of their vehicle, it's a 15-yard penalty. Oh, don't even get me started. I'm trying to keep this PG, man, but all weekend long, I'm watching these things. The Cardinals-Redskins game, I went off for like 10 minutes because it was a penalty on the Cardinals, and I'm rooting for the Redskins, that was the worst example of how bad this sport has gotten from a physical standpoint, or lack thereof. So, for me, it's gotten to be out of control. And speaking of out of control, is there anything else you want to add on this Giant game before I go to the next one?
No.
Okay.
No, let's move on.
Okay. Tampa Bay, New Orleans.
Defense optional.
Oh my God. Defense not included. Instead of batteries not included. I was shocked. But let's go back to what I was saying before. Right? You no longer can touch the quarterback. So today, a guy like Fitzpatrick can become Joe Montana because you're not allowed to touch him. And think of how bad Nathan Peterman is. You've got these rules that are in your favor, and you still play like a 4-year-old. So that shows you how bad the Bills situation is with their starting quarterback. Go to Josh Allen. I promise you it gets better. But how do you talk about New Orleans all summer long? And I swear on my mother's grave, my head may very well explode. It may pop like a pimple on a teenager's face if I hear anybody talk about the Saints as a Super Bowl contender this year. I don't care if they roll off 9 in a row. Tampa. That's all I'm going to say. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm not saying they're the worst team in football, but they're the worst team in the NFC North. South.
Hey, yeah, South. I'll tell you this much. Depending on what happens in the next 2 weeks with Tampa, Jameis Winston might be the backup.
He should be anyway. Has Jameis Winston put up 48 points in his career?
I'm gonna guess
no. I mean total, all of his games combined. I don't know. I don't know what to say to you, Saint fans out there. If there is ever a team that has the right to overreact this weekend, it's your team, because you were at home and you put that stink fest up on the board. I'm wrong. And Buccaneer fans out there, I'm eating crow right now. I am sorry. Your team shut me up, out, and down. Eric, you said this would be a good game.
Listen, hold on, though. Yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. But the Saints lost by a touchdown and 2-point conversion. They're not the Detroit Lions.
Well,
all right? It's not like Drew Brees threw 4 picks. Drew Brees had 439 yards and 3 touchdowns. The only thing that they couldn't do was outscore Tampa.
Which is a problem.
Which is a major problem.
Yeah, thank you.
Michael Thomas had 16 catches for 180 yards and a touchdown. 16. He was about six catches away from breaking the record.
Yeah, I know.
So, when you can't stop anybody, and color me wrong with thinking Marshawn Lattimore was going to shut down Mike Evans. Mike Evans decided to have a career day.
Yeah.
One can't be right.
Yeah.
So, it was a clean game. Fitzpatrick threw 417 yards, 4 touchdowns. I already said what Breeze's numbers were, but Evans had 7 catches, 147 yards and a touchdown. Deshaun Jackson decided to finally show up for the first time in 4 years and put up 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. He left early. He probably would have had better numbers, but he left early with concussion.
Of course he did. Oh my God.
Okay. The Saints only rushed for 43 yards. That's how bad this game was. Kamara, their leading rusher with 29 yards, had 2 touchdowns. He also was their second leading receiver with 112 yards receiving on 9 catches and a touchdown.
Wow.
Seriously, just don't even line up anybody in the backfield. And we're going to get to that in a little bit here.
Yeah, we are. Because this has become stupid. And it's everything I feared, and it's not good for anybody. And mark my words, the next dynasty is going to be the team that goes against this grain, this wave that's occurring right now. But I'll get to that later. All right, Houston at New England.
Moving on. No, I'm going to go a different way. Moving on. Raise your hand if you had a tie. No, seriously, raise your hand. I'm still looking.
Oh, the tie.
That's what I thought. Nobody had a tie. All right. Do you feel good after a tie?
I heard so many people trying to talk up this Browns team. They have something to be proud of. It's an improvement from last year. They're not that far from Pittsburgh. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you're right, they're not that far from Pittsburgh if you're driving.
2 hours.
Yeah. But other than that, you had 17,981 turnovers in the game. And you couldn't score more than 21 points.
Couple that with some missed field goals.
Oh, my God.
Couple that with an extra overtime period. Listen, here's the thing. Pittsburgh is one team on the road. They're a completely different team at home. Okay, you can expect this. You can expect this with a Pittsburgh team. Ben Roethlisberger turned the ball over 5 times. The Browns' defense, they're going to be much improved. You know, everybody was like, hey, what's with this Derwin James pick at number 4? What did he do? He had 2 picks off of Roethlisberger. You know, what Cleveland did, they realized Pittsburgh doesn't have Le'Veon Bell. So they can game plan more towards a traditional run game. Because they don't have to worry about a difference-making playmaker. But then you have James Conner, who has 135 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, he also fumbled, and he also had about 57 yards receiving. But they don't have to worry about Le'Veon Bell. Now, would they have won if they had Le'Veon? I don't think so. Would they have tied still? I would probably bet more money that they would have tied than won. But you never know. Like, Le'Veon might have fumbled 2 or 3 times. You don't know that.
You don't, but you could.
What they rolled over coverage on Antonio Brown, and it showed.
I'm going to say 2 things here. If I'm the Cleveland Browns, and you did not have Le'Veon Bell, and you had such a strong game plan to stop Antonio Brown, and you still couldn't seal the deal, this isn't an improved Browns defense. I'm sorry. This is you found yet another way to not win a game. I still have 1 fewer career win as the Cleveland Browns coach than their head coach right now. Okay?
The 131-1 record.
Yeah. Look, if you are a Browns player, I'm going to speak now from somebody who's been in the locker room. You are looking at this and you are saying, what else can we do to get over this hump? To get a win. This was Pittsburgh playing at their worst. Now you've got to take on New Orleans, who doesn't have a problem scoring. And I'm sorry, but I do believe New Orleans' defense is better than the Steelers, although that might be up for argument right now. You may have to score 48 points to beat New Orleans next week. And I don't know that the Browns can. We're going to find a lot out about the Cleveland Browns next week. A lot. So we'll see how that whole thing unfolds. I'm not happy if I'm a Browns fan. And if I'm a coach, there's a lot of work to do. In particular, you cannot let penetration up the middle on a field goal. I'm sorry. That is fundamental football 101. They should have won the game. You kidding me? A block in the dang back? You had the ball at the 20-yard line. A block in the dang back on an interception. Dude, how hard is it? If you see the dude's nameplate, don't touch him. Like, that's the stuff 0-16 teams do. And the Browns guarantee they won't be 0-16. So I'm predicting an 0-15-1 record.
I'll tell you this much. TJ might be the better watch in the league.
At this point. Okay. You want to go to that game next?
Houston and New England?
Yeah.
Yeah. Houston, we have a problem. We don't know how to block for Deshaun Watson.
I don't know what to do right now. You know, a part of me wants to sit there and say that the Texans have an offensive line problem and that the Patriots really lucked out getting that draw for week 1. And then a part of me wants to sit there and go, how many more times am I going to underestimate New England?
Right.
So
Houston is 0-7 all time at New England. I mean, Brady was Brady. Like, he's got his worst receiving core of his career. And they just signed Corey Coleman.
Really?
As you remember, he was traded from the Browns to the Bills for a 7th-round conditional draft choice. The Bills waived him after a week. He signed with New England. Watch him put up 1,000 yards.
Probably. It's the kind of stuff Belichick does.
I mean, look at what they did with Philip Dorsett, the cast up from Indy. You know, he didn't play much last year. He comes in, he's got over 100 yards receiving.
I don't know. I mean,
Reggie Wayne actually went to New England, and he couldn't get through. He couldn't get through training camp.
No.
I mean, there's something that goes on in that organization during practice time and whatnot that where either you can hack it or you can't. And if anybody, I would think Reggie Wayne could hack it. Reggie Wayne was stud wide receiver back in his heyday.
Yeah.
But, you know, the Texans just need to be able to block some guys up front, because if not, you know, Deshaun Watson's other knee might be up for debate.
Well, look, I'm going to give credit where credit's due here with New England. Their ability to put pressure on all sides and contain that quarterback should not be overlooked.
Right.
That defense clearly improved from last year to this. So that's only bad news for the league. We'll see if this continues, but I don't know. I mean, again, I'm not overreacting to anyone except the Rams this year to week 1. And I'll get to why that is in a minute. But I think you can definitely – I will overreact on New England in this respect. I think their defense is better than they were last year, and they proved it. They played a much tougher team, much better athletes, and all I got to say is I feel sorry for Jacksonville because I don't think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a 17-point win for New England, if not a 10-point win, which I guess would be close, but I digress. Anyway, San Francisco, Minnesota. Woo, is the luster off of G yet? By the way, I have to say something here. This throw that Jimmy G made, that everyone is salivating over. Guys, let's not kid ourselves. He was throwing that ball away. Pettis made a great catch. Jimmy Garoppolo was not going to Pettis. He was not going to the pylon to try to get it to one of his guys. He was yucking it out of bounds so he didn't get crushed in the safe field position, and he got dumb lucky. So you can praise this throw and this play till you're blue in the face, but this was pure, dumb, and stupid luck. That's all there was to it. He didn't have the arm strength to throw it out of the back of the end zone because of the position that he was in which he released the football, and where he was on the field, and he got lucky. Period. I hate to pee on your parade, but you're an idiot if you think otherwise. You're an idiot. I'm sorry, but he was throwing that ball away, and Pettis made a great play. If anybody should get credit for that play, it should be the wide receiver. Eric, this game for me came down to two fundamental things. Jimmy Garoppolo did not have time to go downfield like he likes to do. And in the red zone, the 49ers struggles continue when it gets tight. If they don't fix these problems, they're not going to be a much improved football team from 6-10, which is I think what they were last year, right? So they may be a 7-9, 6-10 team again this year because their schedule doesn't get easier. Next week, the San Francisco 49ers are home. Well, it does get easier. They play Detroit next week. It doesn't get easier than the Lions at this point. So Jimmy Garoppolo may throw for 580 yards, but he's going to be playing tougher defenses the rest of the way. Twice against the Rams is going to be a tough road to hoe. They've got to figure that out. Minnesota, I'll say this, and then I'll turn it to you. Kirk Cousins is the real deal. He was the real deal in Washington, and he's the same dude in Minnesota, and you're seeing it. And now that he's got real talent around him, with a running game and a defense, woo, Nelly, look out for Minnesota. Go.
All right. On the 49ers side of the ball, they went two goal line packages, both to Alfred Morris. He fumbled once and recovered. He fumbled again on the next exact play and lost the football. If that didn't cement Matt Breida as a starting running back from here on out, I don't know what he's got to do to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Because he was a lot more effective than Alfred Morris. Minnesota's D is legit, and it's really good. Coming from a Bears fan, this is hard to say. It's really good to see Dalvin Cook out there running around again, because he is going to be exciting to watch, and he's got a lot left to show after his season was cut short last year. But Thielen and Diggs, man, wow. I mean, Kirk Cousins is just sitting in his Minnesota studio, apartment, condo, townhouse, mansion, wherever the hell he's doing. And he's probably got his feet up on his sofa right now saying, yeah, never had this in Washington.
No, for sure.
I mean, it was a good, hard-fought win by Minnesota. Yeah, they won they didn't score in the fourth quarter, but they played D when they needed to, and Garoppolo gave gave up the ball a few times. So, Minnesota's going to be scary this year.
Yeah. Not looking forward to that game week 4, but at the same time I am. I'm going to jump to this one really quick. Tennessee, Miami. Look, I'm not going to lie. I didn't see this game. Between the rain delay and then going to bed, I heard a lot. Titans really looked bad from what I understand. Miami looked – I don't know if Miami looked good and made Tennessee look bad, or if it was a combination of both, or if Tennessee was just so bad that Miami looked competent. But at 27-20 is not a blowout, so who knows how much the rain delay had. We'll see what happens with Marcus Mariota, but I'm telling you, Kenyon Drake is the real deal, and watch out for this kid, because if Tannehill gets comfortable, this could be a long, long year.
Yeah, Kenny Stills had a really good game, 4 catches, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. Listen, the rain, the delay affected everyone. They were expecting a lot longer delay, the first delay, but it was still about anywhere between an hour and a half and 2 hours. And after that delay happened, the Titans had the ball. Mariota picked. The Tannehill turns around, throws a pick. It's like, okay, yeah, I get it. You're a little rusty from the delay, and then a 2-hour delay happened. But it's really good to see Tannehill come back out and get to that ball and get those hits after he suffered a torn ACL. And typically, here's what I respect about Ryan Tannehill. Typically on Mondays, he's saying that after a team wins, they have Victory Monday, like you don't even come in. But after the game, he was like, "Hey guys, we need to watch some film." He gathered around all his offensive guys, like, "We need to watch some film. Let's come in on Monday and rewatch the game and see where we can improve." That's a winner right there. He hasn't shown it yet in his career, but that's a winner right there.
Yeah.
Okay. On the other side of the ball, Mariota has a little bit of an elbow injury. He said it was more of his inner elbow. And Delaney Walker's lost for the year. He's got, he really messed up his leg. Didn't look good. But that is definitely a weapon that Mariota won't have. They need to get their stuff right now, because if they don't, their season is going to slip past them really quick.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. Okay, this was my favorite game of the weekend. Okay, Monday's not a weekend. Bengals Colts. I told you this was going to be a good game. Colts are driving at the end of the game for the win, or at least the tie, and a great hit, scoop and score on a fumble return. Ends up being a 10-point game, but this was not a 10-point football game. This was nip and tuck all the way. Mixon looked great for Cincinnati. Luck looked great for Indianapolis. Dalton looked great for New England, or for Cincinnati. I would love for this to be the conference championship game in 2018. I think it would be great for football. I think it would be great for the AFC to have somebody like Andrew Luck on the cusp of going to the Super Bowl, and the much maligned Andy Dalton getting one last shot for Marvin Lewis at a Super Bowl ring. I think because these teams played a great game. Now, are either of these teams Super Bowl bound? No. Are either of these teams going to end up in the championship game? No. But I would love to see it, because, man, it was a fun game to watch. From beginning to end, all the way through, great defense, great offense, big hits, a couple of questionable calls. I mean, it had everything. This game had every emotion you could experience from top to bottom. I thought Dalton looked really good. Ross had a touchdown. A.J. Green had a fumble, but he still played pretty well. He almost had 2 fumbles. Mixon ran all over the place. I thought that the Colts utilized their utilized the field beautifully for most of the game. They seemed to get, if it was 3rd and 11, they got 12. If it was 3rd and 10, they got 11. If it was 3rd and 13, they got 14. It was insane. Like, Luck was on point. The line did phenomenal. And watching, Allen, the center for the Colts, former Alabama Crimson Tide ball player, reminds me so much of Russ Grimm. It was just great to see him he flat out dominated Dunlap for most of the game. Anytime he came inside, he got pwned. So it was a great game. It was such a fun game to watch. And even after a ridiculous ejection penalty, and I say ridiculous because he should have been ejected. I don't know. What are you thinking, dude? You know the rules today. Don't throw a forearm or a shoulder. This isn't 1980 anymore. Hell, it's not even 1990 for that matter. You've got to understand they're looking for it. Now, hopefully the safety doesn't make that same stupid mistake later on. But Eric, I'm telling you, if you didn't get a chance to watch this game, you missed the best game of the weekend.
Well, we had that game out here in Chicago, so what I can tell you is that the beginning of the game was a little sloppy.
Yeah.
And Dalton throwing a pick, Luck throwing a pick. The Colt least likely to score a touchdown scored a touchdown, and that was former Lion Eric Ebron. Man, they could have used him last night.
Right.
Anyways.
Serious. They could have used anybody at this point.
Right. The Colts, I expected the Bengals to pull away. They did late. Jack Doyle, who wasn't even involved in the first half, did get a lot more involved in the second half, had about 5 or 7 catches, and also had a key fumble that was returned for a touchdown. So, I listened to what Andrew Luck had to say afterwards, and he's like, it was really good just running out of the tunnel and being one of the guys and playing football again. And, he has fun. He still has a flip phone. So, he's one of those wise guy, crack you up type of guys. He'd be a great guy to probably have a beer with.
Oh, yeah.
But he's just getting back out there. I don't expect him to lead, Indy to a division title this year. Stranger things have happened. But I think once he finally gets his shoulder right after playing this year, that 2019 could be scary for the rest of the AFC South. And just to let everyone know that Andrew Luck actually injured his shoulder in a snowboarding accident. So, say what you will about guys who do things on their own time, out of season or after the season or whatnot, but stuff like that does happen, and it's when they keep it secret, nobody knows what's going on. That really makes you question what is going on.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is, but I agree. Look, I thought it was a great game. Anyway, Kansas City, San Diego. So let me start with this. There's a lot of overreaction. I don't think the Chiefs are a bad football team. I didn't think that the Chargers were as incompetent on defense as they appeared. For all the talk about the Chargers defense, it never showed up. Mahomes looked great because he could throw a 1-yard pass that turned into a 90-yard touchdown. So, the running game was there. The Chargers, to me, if you're a fan of the Chargers, you should be a little concerned because it looks like you're further along defensively than maybe you thought. Because you're going to be playing a lot tougher teams than a Matt Mahomes-led Kansas City Chiefs football team. And considering that Watkins didn't do much of anything in that game, and you still got beat by more than 2 scores, Phillip Rivers has got to be getting sick and tired of having to score 50 points just to have a chance to win a football game. Your take.
Yeah, stop kicking to Tyreek Hill. That's all you got to do. I mean, easier said than done, but he took one to the house from 90 yards. So, Tyreek Hill was everywhere. He was a difference maker in that game. The Chargers weren't fully healthy on defense. Joey Bosa was out with a foot injury, and he's getting a second opinion this week on it. So they're not sure when they're going to have him. But I think the Chargers are going to be fine. Right now, everybody's healthy. Yates is back. You don't know how much he's going to be able to contribute, even though he knows the offense. He doesn't really need a preseason, but Melvin Gordon will get going. You know that. Austin Eckler is a great running back behind Melvin Gordon, who can easily spell him. When he gets winded or if he gets injured or anything. And then, obviously, your wide receiver's got to stay healthy, too. And I expect a big year from Mike Williams. And, he started off pretty darn well. But the Chargers always have a tough time against the Chiefs for some reason, especially last year and now again this year. So, hopefully LA can learn from it and and go down. But I don't think the Chiefs are going away anytime soon in the AFC West.
Well, yeah, and I think it's going to come down to those two teams, possibly for the division. If not, both make the playoffs. But we'll have to wait and see. I will take a little bit of a back seat on my opinion on the Chiefs as opposed to the Raiders, and flip that because I couldn't have been more wrong on that front. But maybe not. We'll talk about that too later. Seattle at Denver, a couple of missed kicks. Everyone's saying Seattle kind of blew their opportunity, whatever. But God, man, they look bad on defense. And if Case Keenum's going to light you up like he's John Elway in 1986 and 87, you've got a problem. Seattle has so many holes on defense. They have so many holes on offense. And Russell Wilson is not going to be able to do it on his own. He's not that good of a quarterback. I'm sorry, but Aaron Rodgers, he is not. Tom Brady, he is not. He needs parts around him. And I'm going to say straight up, Seattle's 0-2 at the end of next week. So this was a bad game. They had an opportunity to win. But you know what? There's a lot of games when the Browns went 1-15 that they had a chance to win. They probably could have won 5 or 6 games that year. They won 1. So I don't want to hear about it because in the end, you either do it or you don't. I learned a long time ago going through the Rams, scores in the 90s going, oh man, we lost this one 8-5. We lost this one by 1. We lost this one by 3. We get those 3 wins and we're a 10-6 team. Or we're a 9-7 team. And look, that's going to change their record. And you could play those games all day long, but you know what? They lost 8-5. They lost by 2. They ended up going 6-10. And somebody else made the playoffs at 9-7. You can play those games until you're blue in the face and think you're not far away. And I'll wait for this to finish. This clock gets me every time. And it's like 9 hours. I'm leaving this for the record. So you guys can understand why sometimes I edit. Let me rephrase that. Why I always edit? It's this thing here. I love this clock. Just not for the show.
You can go in another room.
Why you gotta make sense right now? No one asked you to make any sense right now. Okay. The bottom line is, people that do that are usually fans of losing teams, because you end up with a losing record. So, I always say, there's 2 expressions I always say. What if doesn't mean anything to me. What if frogs had wings? They wouldn't bump their ass when they hop. What if Vince Ferragamo saw Billy Waddy on the post route in Super Bowl 14? Yeah, then the Rams probably win the Super Bowl. But guess what? He didn't. He threw it to friggin' Jack Lambert. There was one problem with that. Jack Lambert played linebacker for the Steelers. Game over, right? So, coulda, woulda, shoulda. What if? I want to hear what if. They lost. Seattle has holes. These holes didn't get filled. The gum-chewing, 90-year-old, most annoying man in professional sports, known as Pete Carroll, can run around thinking he's 18 and that this is college, but it's wearing thin on the team. And you see it. I was watching a little bit of the game. There was a timeout. He's over there doing the rah-rah crap, which, guys, rah-rah works when you have a young team. When you have a veteran team, like the Seahawks, shut your mouth. Let the players play. Give them a little motivation before the game, maybe at a crucial moment in a timeout. But this is like the 3rd timeout in the 4th quarter between the Broncos and Seahawks. And in every single instance, he was in there doing the same thing. And you literally saw the Seahawk players listening to their special teams coach and ignoring Pete Carroll. He's lost this football team. He's lost them entirely, with the exception of maybe a few people. Heath Sherman. Oh my God, I went back to 1990s. Sherman, what's his first name? Richard. Richard Sherman is right when he said that Pete Carroll's lost the locker room. And it was evident in that game. Eric, your takeaway.
Seahawks that I'll say is that Earl Thomas came in, played with no camp, and had a pick right away.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a guy right there. This is why some guys really don't even need a preseason. Like, maybe come in camp, just don't hurt yourself, and, just go out and play. I mean, you see Earl Thomas do it. You've seen Khalil Mack do it. Seattle had its chances. They lost Doug Baldwin. He's going to be out about 2 to 4 weeks with a sprained MCL in his other knee that he didn't injure, or his other knee that he had one knee injury in his left knee. Now he injured his right knee, so guy can't catch a break. Chris Carson's a running back. He got a solid hold on the job. That's pretty much it for Seattle. I mean, Russell Wilson runs for his life because they don't invest in the offensive line. It's the way not to build a football team right there. On the flip side for Denver, I mean, Denver's defense is sick. Von Miller was in that backfield all day long. And, Case Keenum's got some new weapons. He goes from Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen to Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas, and he's going to have fun with Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders is going to have a big year. And Denver's going to be in the thick of it, I think, with San Diego. Wow, I sound like Anthony. With the Chargers and the Chiefs. So, we'll see. We'll really see what the Broncos are made of in the next couple of weeks.
All right, I'm not going to talk about this game. The Cowboys and Panthers, to quote Dennis Green, they are who we thought they were. And when you put those two together, they gave you exactly the type of game you thought you were going to have. Two garbage football teams. Oh, what a shocker. Luke Kuechly injured again. These are two bad football teams. I got nothing to say about it right now. They have a lot of work to do between week 1 and the postseason if either one of them plan on getting there. And with the way that game was played, I'm not sure either one is. No one loves low-scoring games more than me. But there is a good way to have a low-scoring game, and there is a bad way to have a low-scoring game. This was a bad low-scoring game. I wasn't impressed with either side of the ball for Dallas. I wasn't impressed with either side of the ball for Carolina. The defense for Carolina at the moments that they looked quote-unquote good was because the Cowboys' offense looked so bad. At times, Carolina's offense looked so good. It was because the Dallas defense looked so bad. I didn't see a lot of Carolina beating just a solid defense that they were up against. I didn't see guys beating people one-on-one. I saw guys beating people because there was a mix-up in coverage. I don't know what else to say. Eric, did you watch any of this game?
Yeah, I did watch the game. Why? Because it was on. You should have hooked me up to some Volt Chargers and shocked me a little bit. I called Dallas having a bad offense back before the season started. A couple of episodes ago. I just wanted to know who Dak Prescott was going to throw to. Yeah, he's got Cole Beasley, but he's going to be covered every now and then. He's not going to get open and be your, 10, 15 catch guy every week. So then all you have is Ezekiel Elliott. And, he had some good runs, but the Carolina defense, kind of held him in check until his touchdown run, and by that time it was a little bit too late. Brett Olsen got injured. He re-hurt his surgically repaired foot. Doesn't need surgery, but he's going to be out for an extended period of time. So look for a guy named Ian Foster to step into his role for the Panthers. But they're also the Panthers are interesting only from an offensive standpoint because they can run the option with Cam and McCaffrey, and McCaffrey is so fast around the edge. It's so fun watching him run. Who are they going to throw the ball to? Well, they got DJ Moore and Devin Funchess, and I expect Funchess to step up. Not because he's on my fantasy team, which would be great, but because they have nobody else to throw the ball to down the middle.
Yeah.
But Carolina's got a lot of work to do to stay relevant in the NFC South, and I don't know. They didn't impress me on offense. They played solid defense, but they were playing a Cowboys team where I might call it time for their next game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this South got wide open with the way New Orleans played, in my opinion. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Atlanta, to me, they're the only team that, they're one of the two teams that lost in that division. I'm actually thinking they look better than any of them. Time will tell. I'm gonna go to a minute to the Redskin Cardinal game. I said this during the game. What I'm irritated about with the Redskins is not that they got Alex Smith, because Alex Smith is a good quarterback, and he's going to do really well in Washington. What I'm upset about is that you got rid of Kirk Cousins, who is literally the exact same quarterback as Alex Smith, but a younger model, for an older version of the same player. It bothers me. But the Redskins Adrian Peterson looked like he was a rookie again. He juked Patrick Peterson out of his jock strap and then knocked his jaw into the third row on the same run. He just trucked the crap out of him. It was beautiful. The dude's a beast. And the Redskins, if their offensive line stays healthy, I'm saying it right now, they have the best O-line in football, and it's not even close. It's not even close. It's the Redskins and then everybody else, if they stay healthy offensive line-wise. And this new version of the Hogs should scare the crap out of people all over the league. It won't, because people are convinced that they know everything. But I'm telling you, Eric, when you can average 4 yards a carry, and you've got a quarterback that's accurate on third down, and you've got a defense that flies around and doesn't care, that's a dangerous 1-2-3 punch. The Eagles won a Super Bowl with that same method. So be careful, because the Redskins may be a lot more real than people think. Now, you talk about overreaction Monday. Let's look at the other side. The Arizona Cardinals. They're losing their minds out here. Now, I knew Sam Bradford was bad, okay? But they're talking about putting him on the trade block and starting Rosen against the Rams. You want to put him in the LA Coliseum against that defense in week 2 when you know they're starting to figure things out. I hope the Cardinals do, because this game will be over by halftime. I mean, it won't even be close. Because the Rams woke up in the second half of that game, and we'll talk about that later. But that is such an overreach. If I'm the Cardinals, I am going to make sure that Josh Rosen, what am I doing? Josh Rosen doesn't see the Ram defense until it's absolutely necessary. And you better believe it's going to be in the confines of my own home stadium. I don't know what they're thinking. And I'm hoping like the dickens they put him in. Because there's 2 overreactions this week. And they both have to do with Josh's. And one of them's in Arizona. So the Cardinals look terrible. There's no question about it. But they look bad on the offensive line. Johnson didn't look good, by and large, for most of the game. Their defense looked garbage. Their special teams was weak. They just got outplayed. And they're going to play a much better team next week. So that's my takeaway. Yours?
Adrian Peterson looking like his old self. Alex Smith enjoying Jordan Reed, just like he enjoyed Travis Kelce. Crowder and Doxson, they're going to get their share. Washington's going to be scary. My only question regarding the Cardinals is I believe there might be only one team who would trade for Sam Bradford if they're dumb enough to.
Yeah.
And that would be Buffalo.
Well, Tennessee, if this elbow injury is serious.
If it's serious, I don't believe it will be. But Buffalo, maybe. I mean, are somebody slow enough to trade for Sam Bradford?
The ones that ride the short bus.
I'm asking for a friend. I really am.
I got nothing. Like I said, Tennessee would be the only team I could think of.
Listen, this is the last thing, and I mentioned him earlier, but this is the last thing I want to see for Larry Fitzgerald. He definitely deserves to go out, on a better note, because I honestly think this might be his last year. But if they're going to be getting in these types of games, and when they play the Rams, if they get blown out, and he's a non-factor, and if they keep getting down big like they are, David Johnson's going to be a non-factor. And the Cardinals really need their playmakers in those games and not being taken away. So, to me, Arizona needs to figure out a way to stop somebody. I thought they had a better defense, but they're giving up 24 to the Redskins. But the Redskins are talented. They have a good quarterback. Very, very odd trade when it happened because it solidified right after the playoffs that Alex Smith was on the block. And Andy Reid said that, and they traded him, and he's now thriving in Washington. But Kansas City's also thriving, so I think it was a win-win for both teams right there.
Yeah, I just think that when you have two drives that go 10 minutes or longer, and you only had 1/3 down on that 10-minute drive, on one of them, you got to tip your hat to the Redskins. There's no question.
Surgical, methodical, however you want to say it.
So, speaking of overreaction, I did not know this. Did you know that Joe Montana plays for the New York Jets?
I swear I seen him in a 49ers and Chiefs uniform.
Yeah, well, apparently all you have to do in today's football to impress the media experts is you have to have a less than 60% completion percentage, less than 200 yards passing, and let your defense and special teams do all the scoring, and apparently you're great. Now, I wish that Jared Goff got that same kind of love when they played New Orleans, and he threw for over 250 yards, had 3 touchdown passes, only 1 pick, and had an over 65% completion percentage when the Rams lost to New Orleans 41-21. But, I guess, dude, if you really believe that Donald, is it Josh Donald? What is his name?
Sam Darnold.
Where am I going Josh for? Allen. I was thinking Josh Allen. I don't even know the guy's name. That's how bad he is. Look, I watched USC football games. Okay? I did. And I saw USC never make the playoffs. I saw USC. Did they even win the Pac-12 under this guy?
I don't believe so.
Okay. The Pac-12, you couldn't beat that top-notch competition to win a championship, but I'm supposed to believe he's all that in a bag of chips because he threw for 198 yards and 2 touchdowns. Guys, this is the worst overreaction I think I've ever seen. You've got the dumbest human being on God's green earth. Legitimately, there are people with Down syndrome that don't know how to read that are smarter than Mike Greenberg. The dude is actually saying he's a Super Bowl or he's an NFL MVP candidate after this game. Do I need to say any more about overreacting? Were you impressed with Sam Darnold?
Darnold?
Is it Darnold? Am I screwing his name up again?
Yeah, you are. That's okay. Everybody knows that you don't know names well enough to.
What's his name?
We surprised you know your own name. Sam Darnold.
That's what I said. I said Sam Darnold. What'd I say, Donald?
Donald.
Oh, look, That's bad. Okay, I know football, and I know just about every player coming out of college. When I don't know your name, you've not impressed me. Okay, and I'm probably the easiest person when you're a rookie to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to say that the pick he threw, I heard somebody else say, that was the worst throw I've ever seen in all my years of watching football. Well, then apparently you haven't been watching football until this year. You're an idiot. Did you watch the friggin' Raider game? Because I still don't know who Carr was throwing to at the end of the game. And I'm not talking about the pick six. I'm talking about the Littleton pick. By the way, he was a stud in that game. But we'll get to that later. What are we doing? What are we doing? He's the Jets defense, the Jets special teams, the Jets running game is what won him that game. Not Sam Darnold. I'm sorry. The dude, there's going to be a lot of disappointed people come week 5. A lot of disappointed people. Because you know what? As much as they would love to, the Jets don't play the Lions 16 times. They get them once. And their next opponent, they're going to lose. And that's guarantee. Guarantee. I am as certain about the Dolphins-Jets game as I was the Ram-Raider game. So, my 2 cents is the worst overreaction I've seen in a long, long time. And I'm actually a little pissed off. Because I want to know why Jared Goff didn't get this same treatment. I want to know why Jared Goff can light up the Saints and play the best game. I still think it's one of the top 5 games of his career. In his rookie year, coming out of the rain in Miami the week before, and you still said he was a bust. This guy comes out, doesn't even crack 200 yards passing, and he's friggin' Joe Montana. He's Johnny Unitas reincarnate. I digress. Your turn.
You done now?
Yeah, I'm done.
You're going to be really mad when the Jets beat the Dolphins. I'm going to tell you that right now.
You're an idiot.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Listen, the Jets played a pretty darn good complete game. Offense, defense, and special teams. Because the Lions were a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
You can take anything you want away from Sam Darnold, and that's fine. That's your prerogative. He did one thing that only 2 other quarterbacks prior did, and the first one is a Hall of Fame.
Won a game with the Jets?
Your very first pass attempt.
Yeah, okay. You're talking about Brett Favre. I heard this comparison.
Yes, I am talking about Brett Favre. But, after that, he settled down. He had good, the Jets offensive line opened up holes for Bilal Powell and Isaiah Crowell. Crowell looked great on a 62-yard run. Okay? Every time, I blinked, the Jets scored again. Hey, they just scored again, by the way.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry. That was Stafford throwing another pick. I don't think, so all new head coaches went 0-7, and I'm counting John Gruden in this. But all new head coaches for this year went 0-7, and Matt Patricia probably had the worst showing. Now, I'm watching the game, and, he's pretty much got the same clothes on that he wore in New England, just with Lions gear, just with a Lions logo. He looks like a bum. He's got the backwards hat. He doesn't shave. He's wearing the headset. It's like, be a little bit more professional in what you do. You're not a coordinator anymore. You're a head coach.
Right.
I like it.
Right.
Okay? I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought that. Second, I wanted to say Sam Bradford so bad. Second, Matt Stafford. Okay? He's paid to throw the ball. And what did he do? He threw 4 picks.
Maybe they should have run.
The Lions have no running game. No. You could talk about Kerryon Johnson all you want, who should end up being a good running back. You could talk about Theo Riddick all you want, but he's not a 3-down back. LeGarrette Blount stinks right now. He actually left the game early because he got injured, but he had 1 carry for -3 yards, and he's like, "Ow, I hurt." And for about 2.5 quarters, they only had 28 yards rushing. Of course, they're down 24 the whole time, but the Lions just couldn't get anything going. If you want to talk about a bright spot, there's 2. There's Golden Tate, who shows up to play almost every game. You cannot say anything about that guy's heart. He's always playing hard.
Yeah.
And then you got second-year wideout, Kenny Galladay. He had a really good game. He had over 110 yards receiving. And, it's not all the offense, even though Stafford's given the Jets a short field to work with the whole time, but they had no defense on that game, especially on Crowell's 62-yard touchdown run. And their special teams was non-existent.
Mm-hmm.
So, I chalk it up to a really bad opening week one loss, but I think it's just the beginning for the Lions. I think that there's a really good chance that they could be last in the division.
So I'm going to throw something at you. 1987. Tampa Bay Buccaneers rookie quarterback Vinny Testaverde is a backup. Steve DeBerge is starting quarterback. The Atlanta Falcons were projected to have a really good year because the year before in 86 they were in the playoff hunt right up until the very end. The Buccaneers beat them 48-24. Sound familiar? The Buccaneers that year only won 4 more games. So you can look really good your first game. You can look phenomenal. But when you're looking phenomenal against a bad football team, you get a little overconfident. And then you're going to come down to reality when you play a more competent team the following week. We'll see what happens. We'll get to those picks in a minute. Now, I text you. So I'm calling you out right now. So Eric texted me during the Ram game. Rams stink, and I'm going to post it too. Right? Because they were losing at halftime, which we'll get to the Ram game in a minute.
No, actually, I figured you weren't by your phone. That was after the first drive.
Oh, was it? I didn't see it till halftime.
The first drive after the Raiders looked like the Rams going down the field, and the Rams looked like the Raiders defense.
Yeah. So I text Eric, and I'm like, hey, just remember, your Bears look like the 85 model for 2 quarters. One problem, they play 4. Right?
That's right.
So let's talk about your Bears. Only one player in the last 15 years has had the cycle on defense. That's a sack, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, a pick 6. Yeah, and a pick 6. So an interception and a touchdown on defense. The last one to do it was Khalil Mack. He did it again Sunday night. Eric, take it away.
Oh, man, where do I start? Let's start here. The Bears should have won. Welcome to the Andy Reid coaching tree of clock management. Here's what ticks me off. When you have 3rd and 1, and you're in shotgun formation, get under the center, get a fullback and your best running back, which is Jordan Howard, and pound the freaking ball up the middle or off the tackle or somebody. It's ridiculous the amount of time. And it was confirmed through one of my buddies tonight, who actually is a Chiefs fan and actually has lived through the Andy Reid era. But learn to run the ball in running situations. I would rather you get stuffed on 3rd and 1 and keep the clock running than a pass that falls incomplete.
Yeah.
Now, Khalil Mack was everywhere in the first half. He was nowhere to be found in the second half. But you can see why the Bears traded for this 27-year-old former defensive player of the year. When Rodgers came back, and don't get me wrong, I'm surprised there wasn't a flag on Rodgers because they hit him and hit him again and breathed on him and probably farted around him too.
No, around his car.
But then he came back, and as soon as the game got to 20-10, I kind of looked around. I was like, yeah, the Bears are going to lose. And when they went for the field goal to make it 23, yeah, I could just see it happening again. It was kind of like that 2006 Monday night game where I could see the Bears coming back and winning against the Cardinals. But I had to watch it from a different perspective. And everybody's like, "Oh, if you're a Bears fan, you should be excited about the direction the game, the organization's going, and what they're going to have." No, a loss is a loss when it's against your biggest rival. Okay, you let them come back. Vic Fangio's defense was gassed up in the second half. Trubisky looked to run the ball more, and his accuracy became a big problem. But, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't care what people say about Pat Mahomes and how he looked and his accuracy and whatnot, because I'm not a Pat Mahomes fan. I'm not a Chiefs fan. Okay, they're going to do their own thing, and maybe or maybe not make the playoffs. The Bears are going to do their own thing, probably not make the playoffs this year. But you got to give credit where credit's due, and Rodgers is Rodgers for a reason. And I'm sorry, but Geronimo Allison should have been called for offensive pass interference on his push-off. If you go watch the camera angle from the end zone, you can definitely see his arm being stretched out and pushing Kyle Fuller away. Kyle Fuller could have easily ended the game with the interception. But that's why he plays quarterback. He's not a wide receiver. He doesn't have those kind of hands.
Yeah.
So, the whole Randall Cobb touchdown was a complete fluke in my mind because he should never have been that wide open, and there should have been a safety, right above him. But alas, there's not. You can't go back and change anything. But you just got to learn and run the freaking ball on 3rd and 1. That's what you got to do.
So I don't disagree with any of that. But I'll remind you what we talked about last week when we talked about this game. I said what the Bears need to do to be in this game in the end. And they did it. They didn't run the ball as much as I'd like. They were effective. I told you that Trubisky is going to have those 1 or 2 moments where he's either going to win it for you or not. And that's going to be why you guys go 8-8 as opposed to 10-6. And one of those moments came this week. And he didn't deliver. Now you can bet your bottom dollar there's going to be at least one more this year where he's got that opportunity. The Bears are close. Now it hurts that they don't have first-round draft picks. So they better invest in free agents to fill some of their gaps that they're going to have inevitably at the end of the year. Okay? But I think the Bears are moving forward. The issue that I have with football today is the lack of running the football. The Bears aren't the only one that goes shotgun empty on 3rd and 1. Let me tell you fundamentally, for those listening, why this is such a bad idea. When you're in shotgun, the linebacker has clear vision of your back and the direction in which he's going from the onset if you give him the ball. That's one. Your running back has to go from a standstill with 0 momentum or from a standstill running at a wide angle to go wide, almost as if you were running a toss sweep. It's too slow developing. You take the defense, the biggest problem for a defense, and you remove it. The element of surprise. You know as a defender, they're going to throw. And if they do run, you have time to react. Now let's flip the script. What happens when you go under center like Eric talked about? Well, here's what you have available to you on 3rd and 1. You have tight end outs. That's where the tight end is here, and he just simply goes boop and out. Or boop and in, depending on what you want to run. Right? You have that open. Quick slants. Depending on how the corners are playing. Right? You can hand the ball off and run inside, inside out, or outside, depending on the play call. You can even run a stretch play, allowing the running back to take the ball and pop it to the tight end, who can sneak out up top for a quick 5-yard completion. Doesn't need to be a touchdown on a trick play. Just move the chains. Right? The quarterback can fake and boot and hit somebody open. the quarterback can fake and boot and run for a first down. Or the quarterback can fake the handoff, drop back, and hit somebody. Short, deep, medium, all around you. Or you can run a screen pass. There are so many options when you're under center that the defense does not know what you're doing. They cannot know what you're doing because you can literally hit them from 7 different options. When you're under shotgun, it's either read or throw. And as a linebacker, I taught my linebackers, if it's third and medium and the running back's in the backfield, don't fall for play action. Assume it's a pass. Watch the running back while you drop back to your zone. If it's a run, you will have time to stop, plant, and go and meet him at the line of scrimmage. It's easy. It's the easiest offense to prepare for. Jet sweep, you might be able to get the angle if you have a really fast guy and you have really good blocking on the outside. That's about the only threat you can do from that formation that has a shot in the running game at getting you. But as long as those receivers aren't in motion, ball game. You know exactly what's coming. Drop back in your coverage and you're done. So there's a reason Eric's saying go under center. There's so many more things you can do that you just can't do in shotgun. You're not surprising anybody. So that's one. So I agree with you, Eric. But the Bears moving forward, they have some real potential. And I think you should be pleased with how the Bears looked against what many people are saying is a playoff caliber team. I told you the Bears weren't going to be a playoff team this year, but I told you they would be improved. When you are building your program, and take it from somebody who's been through 2 major rebuilds, the 90s and this last decade, you don't draft your Super Bowl championship team in one draft. It's multiple. The Bears have had 3 really good drafts, and now they added a piece in free agency or trade. So they're close. They can get there. Take a breath. They'll be fine. That's my humble opinion. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So now the Monday night game. The Rams and Raiders. So I figured the Rams might be sluggish to start the game. I wasn't too worried. I did expect them to play better in the first half. But when you don't play your starters at all in the preseason, you're going to get a first half like the Rams had. Now, let me tell you why Jared Goff should and probably will be the NFL MVP this year. Okay? His third down completion percentage in this game. Now, I'm not saying converted third down. I'm saying completed the pass on third down, which, as a coach, is all you can ask for. It's up to your receivers to get open, pass the sticks, or get past the sticks when you throw it to him. His completion percentage on third down in this game was over 80%. His deep ball receivers, I saw it twice from Robert Woods. The one that he dove for, he shouldn't have been diving, he should have been running. Okay? His deep ball was 50-50 to me, which is to be expected for a guy that hasn't played much. Okay? There were a few times he underthrew Cooks and got a flag for it. There was another couple of times where he overthrew the receiver, and once, I'll say once out of the 2, was Woods' fault, because the one he dove on, like I said, he should have been running, not diving. And then he would have caught it in stride, and it would have been a touchdown. But other than that, no interceptions. I think he threw 2 touchdowns. He was efficient with the football, and his deep ball is going to continue to improve. At the end of the year, I believe that Jared Goff is going to have less than 10 interceptions thrown, and I think he's going to have between 30 and 35 touchdown passes for the year. I think Cooks is going to be over 1,000 yards, and I think that Todd Gurley is going to be just as dominant as he's been in the past. But this is a passing league. This award goes to a quarterback, and I think Jared Goff is going to position himself just right in that position. And you look at the Rams' next 3 games, okay? They've got Arizona next week after playing Oakland. Then they've got the Chargers, who look terrible on defense, and I don't expect to end. They're at home for that one. And then week 4 is there, so they've got an opportunity to get off to a 3-0 start, a really good, fast 3-0 start. Now the rubber's going to meet the road week 4 on Thursday night. After the battle for LA on Sunday, then they got to come home and play Thursday night against the Minnesota Vikings. That's going to be a tough draw. But getting back to this game, this is going to be this was an important step for me. The Rams defense started coming together towards the end of the game. 23 unanswered points in the second half. They were a completely different team in the second half. And a championship team, look at your Bears in 85. Do you remember the week 1 game against Tampa Bay that year? I know you were too young, but you've seen highlights of that game, right? I have the game, so I've seen it. You remember it? Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. The Bucs were with them. In fact, the Bucs had a lead going in the locker room, if I remember correctly, but then the Bears blew them out in the second half. Then against New England, they dominated from the outset, and I think there was one other game in that first 4 weeks where they kind of struggled in the first half and then pulled away in the second half. That's what a championship caliber football team does. And the Rams, they looked the part this week. Now for the Raiders, they have a lot to be proud of. The Raiders are playing old school Raider football, and trust me, that style of football with Jared Cook at tight end, Marshawn Lynch at running back, and that quarterback, if their defense can play half as good as it did against the Rams for 4 quarters, you are going to have yourself a real shot at making some headway in this division, because I don't think Denver is very good. I don't think San Diego is very good. And I think that Kansas City is Kansas City. They're going to be tough, but they're beatable. So the Raiders have a real opportunity here to make some headway. And when they're playing the NFC, they're playing the NFC West. The Cardinals are garbage. The Niners don't impress right now. And the Seahawks are garbage. You played the only team in this division you should lose to. And you hung with them for 2 quarters. So I think there's a lot to be optimistic about if I'm a Raider fan as well. In the end, Rams 33, Raiders 13. Go Rams! Go ahead, E.
So the whole time for this game, when I watched it, the biggest story was that the Raiders could use a pass rusher. Do you know any that might be available?
Well, not Khalil Mack.
Oh, man. Wow. All I can say is that, boy, the announcers ripped the Raiders for that.
Oh, my God. Left and right.
I mean, you thought you might have been watching a different game.
Yeah.
Listen, the Rams started slow, like you mentioned. I'm not, we're not beating a dead horse here, but they turned it around when they needed to.
Yeah.
I foresee a big year coming from Amari Cooper, because that's all Derek Carr is going to have to throw to. But the Rams defense, we touched on Donald earlier on crazy call being made for roughing the passer while Derek Carr was being sacked.
That's so stupid. I just shook my head. But John Johnson III got a pick on that drive, so that made me happy. But that was the dumbest thing.
You like to see a lot of new guys actually make plays in their first game. I saw Marcus Peters with the interception and return for touchdowns.
Oh, that
was big. When I saw that the Rams won by 20, because I didn't watch the whole game actually. I went to bed right at halftime, and it was only 10-10. But I expected the Rams to win. And when I looked to see what happened in the morning, I was like, 33-13, that's not surprising. They held the Raiders to 3 points in the second half. It's going to be a long year in Oakland, and guys are counting down, when they're moving to Vegas. So the Oakland faithful are going to lose, part of their soul, because that's what they've known for a long time is Oakland Raiders football. And I know they were in LA for a while, but it's going to be one of those. It's going to be worse for them leaving Oakland than anybody would bat an eye at the Chargers leaving San Diego for LA.
Yeah.
Or it could be as devastating as when the Oilers left Houston. Like that was, to me back then, that was big.
Yeah.
They leave Houston, they go to Memphis for a year, then they go to Nashville the year after that. So. I thought that Houston wouldn't recover from losing the Oilers, but they have. They got the Texans now. So, I don't know what to really make of the Raiders. We'll see in the next couple of games. I mean, if they're 0-4, 0-5, I mean, there's going to be a lot of people bringing up the contract for the head coach. And, it's funny, right before the game started, everybody's showing, like, their Chucky dolls and whatnot. I'm like, somebody really needs to be brave and bring a Chucky from Chuck E. Cheese, because that's what it's more like right now. That's
Look,
what it's going to be like.
I think the Raiders are going to be fine. I think Gruden is a good coach, and I think that he should be.
He might be a great coach, but the guys on the field got to perform. I mean, when your first 4 penalties in the game are offensive line penalties, I mean.
Well, that's the Raiders' biggest weakness, Eric, is the O-line.
That's been their biggest weakness for years, and they don't do anything about it.
Yeah. Well,
so, listen, I'm not gonna go into like the Rams' offense or defense or anything because we already know what the Rams are.
Yeah. They're
going to be better than they were last year. Now, will the record prove it? We'll know at the end of the year. Obviously.
It will. There's no Eric. There's.
Hold on,
go ahead.
Even if they go 12-4 or 11-5, and I'm not saying they will, but if they have a slip up or two along the way, there's still going to be a team that people don't want to face. I don't care if you're Philadelphia. I don't care if you're Minnesota. You're not going to want to face the Rams.
No.
Todd Gurley is a man among kids right now.
Yeah.
In the league, and he's only in his fourth year? No, third year.
4th year.
4th year. So they have the weapons on offense. They got Brandon Cooks. They have Cooper Kupp. They have Robert Woods. They're going to be more explosive. They're not going to rely on a guy like Sammy Watkins. Is he or isn't he going to stay healthy? Can we have him for 15 games who's going to rest him for the playoffs? So, we know what the Rams are on defense. I mean, they're ridiculous with Donald and Sue and Peters and everybody else because, they're building. They tried to trade for Khalil Mack for crying out loud.
Could you imagine?
They offered a first and a third. The Raiders said no because they thought the first would be too low, which they're right. And then the report came out today that the Rams would have used Mack for 2018 and then traded him after the season to recoup compensation. That's the Rams thinking. That's what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous when you come to think about it because they would have. I don't know if Khalil Mack would have said yes, trade me, or if he would have demanded to sign a long-term deal there.
Yeah.
That's the tricky part. The Bears were like, here's 2 firsts, here's a third. We want a second back along with Mack, and here's your big extension. You're now going to be the highest paid defensive player in the league.
Money well spent. It was money well spent. It was a great move. Look, I'm going to say this. There's no way you are going to make me believe that the Rams are going to lose 5 games this year. They beat the Raiders.
I'm saying in general.
I know. I want to explain this to everyone out there. I know you don't feel that way, Eric. You're just using a general statement. I get it. Not upset with what you said, and I'm not even saying you're wrong. Because you're 100% right in the bottom line assessment of what you were saying. Okay? But let's think about this. The Rams beat the Raiders by 20 points. And their 2 defensive tackles didn't even get pressure on the quarterback, but once, and it was a penalty. You know that Donald and Sue are going to show up way more than they showed up in this game. Now, if they're able to play not their best game and still beat you by 20, good Lord, is this going to be over before it got started. You might as well, to quote Dennis Green again, crown their asses. Because I don't know how you beat them. If you can run the ball on this team like you did, if you can dominate time of possession like they did and still lose by 20 points. And by the way, the Marshawn Lynch hold my dick moment at the end by Marcus Peters made my night. That, I was so glad because I hate Marshawn Lynch and I hate the Seattle Seahawks and beast mode. And that was such a big middle finger to Marshawn Lynch and the Seattle Seahawks. I cried a little bit and I piddled. I did. I'm not going to lie. I laughed so hard, I peed a little in my pants. I piddled. It was that funny. And it was so good to see. Now, what I want people to really try to understand here is the Rams' biggest weakness on defense proved last night it wasn't a weakness. Abikuam and Littleton, Longacre, that linebacking core looked unbelievable. And you want to know something really scary? 2-year veteran, 2-year veteran, 3-year veteran. No. Yeah, maybe a 2-year veteran. I think all 3 were rookies last year. Littleton might have been in his 2nd year. And that's their linebackers for the next how many years? I am so thrilled to see those 3 linebackers out of their 4, because they play a 3-4. Those 3, they showed up to play. And they all made great plays at some point. Littleton with the pick. Abikuam was all over the field, getting in the backfield on tackles behind the line of scrimmage on run plays and getting pressure on the quarterback. And Longacre set the edge so consistently that the Raiders had to force it back inside and try to get chunk yardage that way. It was awesome. So I'm really excited to see where this progresses. Now, close the book on week 1, week 2. There's 3 games that we're going to talk about. You're going to talk about the Bears. I'm going to talk about the Rams. I got 2 games on my docket. 2. Okay. 1. I'll get to. Eric, cover the one you want to first.
All right. Oh, we're going to go Bears Seahawks first. Monday Night Football. Looking forward to this game only because it's the Bears home opener. And I'm really curious to see how they're going to be able to play against the Seahawks. They generally do not play the Seahawks well at all. At home, on the road, neutral site, on the moon, somewhere else in the solar system, it doesn't matter. It just seems like the Bears cannot beat the Seahawks. Pressure from the Bears front 7 should make Russell Wilson be running for his life all day. You won't have Doug Baldwin. I'm sorry, but I know Brandon Marshall. This is like the Brandon Marshall tour. He starts out in Denver, where he started his career. Now he's coming to Chicago, where he had some really good seasons with the Bears. So I expect him to get his catches. He won't get 21 catches or 20 catches. I think either wherever he lines up, Fuller or Amukamara can actually shut him down. And then they got to deal with just Tyler Lockett and Chris Carson, which they can stop the run. That's not a big deal. Getting pressure on the edge, it's going to make Russell Wilson step up and get hit. I expect the Bears to win this game.
I
expect to see a lot of Bobby Wagner chasing from behind Tariq Cohen and Jordan Howard.
I do too.
I see Earl Thomas maybe making a play or 2. He'll be all over the field like he normally is. But Allen Robinson had a couple of nice catches in the game against Green Bay, and he's only going to get stronger with his knee. And the Bears need to do something at tight end because Deion Sims is a bum. They need Adam Shaheen back. Trey Burton caught 1 pass for 15 yards. He was targeted 6 times, and apparently they had good rapport in the preseason. But between Burton and Trubisky, but Trubisky only played 32 snaps in the preseason, which I get. You want to keep guys rested and healthy in the preseason. We've seen guys who don't even go to preseason and come out firing on all cylinders. Yeah. So I expect I expect Mac to have another big game. I expect Roquan Smith to keep getting better. Mac had a good pressure on Aaron Rodgers, and Smith finished him off for his one of his first snaps was a sack on a future Hall of Fame quarterback. Not many guys can say that. Yeah. So I think the one guy who is very underrated on the Bears defense, who's going to get a lot of pub, I believe could be an Pro Bowler, is Akeem Hicks, and he flashed a lot of dominance against Green Bay, and I expect him to keep getting that pressure up the middle, and I expect the Bears to come away with a victory.
Well, I agree entirely. I think Corey Fuller is going to have a pick or two in this game. I think Russell Wilson's going to have a fumble on a sack, a strip sack. I think Jordan Howard's going to have over 100 yards rushing. And I think that the Bears are going to win this game rather comfortably. I think it's going to be one of those situations where they get off to a big lead like they did in this game, and then they maintain that lead for most of the game. I could see the Seahawks cutting it to a one-score game, but then the Bears kick a field goal and go up by 10 or score a touchdown and go up by 14. But I think the Bears win this thing by 2 scores. And I don't think you're going to be as nervous through the course of this game as you were in the first game. I didn't have the Bears beating Green Bay, but I had it being a close game. You don't get much closer than 1 point. This game, I'm telling you, the Bears are the better team. Seattle has so many problems on defense. I don't know how they stop you. Because the Packers' defense is better than the Seahawks, and the Bears were able to move the ball against it. So I just think that it bodes well in your favor. I think you need to utilize your receivers a bit more and not so much on the tight ends. And I think Trubisky needs to go down the field to the seams more often. Give it a shot. Worst thing that can happen is you get picked off. You know, the reason Brett Favre was so good is he didn't care if he threw a pick because there was a possibility that you could throw a touchdown. And I would like to see Trubisky adopt that attitude a little bit because you got nothing to lose this year, but you got everything to gain. So just throw caution in the wind and do your best. It ain't going to hurt you because no one's expecting you to win, especially against Seattle, except for maybe me and you. Right?
Right.
Okay. I'm going to stay in that division. I want to talk about the Vikings and Packers. I have said all year long that I don't think Green Bay is a very good football team. Aaron Rodgers is dinged up, and he's got to deal with the Vikings defense. They don't have an offensive line, and they got to play the Vikings defense. They don't have consistent play at linebacker outside of Matthews, and they got to try to stop the running game. They got to try and stop Kirk Cousins. Their corners are okay, but are they good enough to cover Kyle Rudolph and the entire crew? I don't think they are. The Packers can't run the ball. You're going to be one-dimensional against the Vikings defense? I don't know how Green Bay wins this game. Now, you're probably thinking, well, what are you saying, Anthony? It's going to be a blowout? Look, Aaron Rodgers factor, right? This game is going to be close. And by close, again, 10-point game. And I consider a 10-point game close because depending on how it's 10 points, it could be close or not. I think the Vikings will have, much like I said, the Bears. They'll get off to an early lead, and they will never be challenged. And I just think that Green Bay, I don't care if it's in Lambeau, I don't care if it's on the moon, I don't care if it's in Minnesota, they're in trouble. They don't match up against this team. I don't know how Green Bay runs the ball. I don't know how Aaron Rodgers, on a hurt leg, is able to run the ball and make those plays downfield. And Xavier Rhodes, the dude's going to get an interception. He might get a pick six in this game. I just don't know where Green Bay goes. If they're not going to throw to Jimmy Graham like I thought they were going to do, if they're only going to target him twice for 8 yards, what other option do they have? Don't give me Randall Cobb. Randall Cobb is not going to beat Xavier Woods for a 75-yard touchdown. I'm sorry, he isn't. Fluke or no fluke, the Vikings won't make that mistake. You've got the eraser playing in the secondary, number 22, the safety. The Packers are in trouble. He's unbelievable. I love that kid. This is bad news. So I got the Vikings winning. Your assessment?
I am also picking the Vikings to win, but a little bit different of a reason. I think you're going to see the 2 wide receivers exploit the 2 rookie corners for Green Bay. I think it's, Jair Alexander and Josh Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to see them come down to rookie status really quickly.
Especially against Thielen.
Right. Against Thielen and Diggs. And you know what? And if you want to get cute, throw in Laquan Treadwell in there too. Because, the Vikings, if they want to run out 3 wide receivers along with Kyle Rudolph, I don't know who Green Bay is going to cover them all with. And now on the flip side, the Vikings have a lot of good tape from Aaron Rodgers as far as how limited he was and what he was able to do. I mean, he got the ball out quick. The Bears' defense was a pretty non-factor in their pass rush. And the Vikings are going to look to, make sure that they can get pressure on Rodgers. If he's not 100%, he can still make those throws, but he's not going to be able to escape. He's going to fall down.
Yeah.
And in case Rodgers doesn't play at all, then you have DeShone Kizer. And we've seen what DeShone Kizer can and can't do.
Yeah.
So this is why I'm taking the Vikings.
Makes sense. All right, your next game.
Patriots-Jaguars. This one is in Jacksonville, and I'm sure Jacksonville is so happy that they can get the Patriots not at their place. I am looking forward to this game. This is really a battle of no-name wide receivers. I mean, the only wide receivers you know of are the ones that I talked about earlier.
Yeah.
For the Patriots. Getting Chris Hogan and Philip Dorsett, and then throw in Gronkowski. And on the flip side, if you want to know who the wide receivers are for the Jaguars, I'll tell you. D.D. Westbrook and Keelan Cole. Not exactly household names. Leonard Fournette is 50-50 in this game. As of this talking, not sure if he'll play or if it'll be T.J. Yeldon play. I like Jacksonville's defense more in this game than the Patriots' defense. Hence why I think this is going to be about a 27-24 game in favor of Jacksonville.
Well, I will tell you, I said Fournette's going to have a down year. He didn't look good against the Giants, right?
Oh, he got injured.
Look, no one, and I mean no one, hates the Patriots more than me. As somebody who was once a fan of the Patriots, they were my second favorite team. For those of you out there that didn't know my past, from '84 to
I was going to say they're your favorite team when Pete Carroll took them over, right?
No, '84 to 2001. It was Rams, Patriots, Redskins, Browns. I didn't care about anybody else. Then Spygate. And then all of the cheating that proceeded from there, they just continued to plummet. And now I would root for the 49ers over New England. Yes, I said it, and yes, I would. That's how much I hate New England. Actually, I'd hope that the building exploded and no one got injured, but they couldn't play the game. So I hate those two teams. But look, their defense is better than the Giants. Their quarterback right now, okay, at one time that wasn't the case, but right now is better than Eli Manning. Their tight end is better than Evan Ingram. Their receivers aren't as good as Odell Beckham and company, but their O-line is just as good as the Giants. So I don't know how Jacksonville can. They're going to have to get to New England. I didn't see the Patriots. Look, if anybody was going to get to Tom Brady, I would have thought it would have been the Texans defense, but they didn't, by and large, right?
Right.
So how's Jacksonville going to do it? They didn't get to Eli Manning very often. So this is, for me, we're going to find a lot out about the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2018, because this isn't 2017. And I didn't see the Jaguars get appreciably better this offseason like the Rams did. So we'll find out. I got New England winning this game 27-13. I just don't think they have enough firepower on offense. And unfortunately, I think that the Patriots have just enough ability on offense to find holes and get what they need done. Especially now that you can't hit people. I don't know how you stop Gronkowski. They'll hit him. There'll be a penalty, and the Patriots drive will continue. Somebody will sack Tom Brady, and their right leg will come across Tom Brady's body, and they're going to say body weight on the quarterback, roughing the passer, interception denied, first down New England at the goal line. It's something stupid like that. You know it. You know they're going to get the benefit of 100% of the calls, coupled with the fact that they have still a good enough team to win. All right, staying in the same division again. Dolphins, Jets. The Jets' defense looked really good against a bad football team. The Lions were bad last year at 9-7. They were a byproduct of teams losing, beating themselves, not Detroit beating them. But they still went 9-7, and you tip your hat. This is not last year. So they got a really bad football team. And I don't think I've ever seen a team so unprepared to play in week one in a long, long time. They don't even look like they know what they want to do, let alone what they need to do. You're not getting that with Miami. Miami traditionally beats the Jets. In New York, in Miami, it doesn't matter. They own this series. And now you've got Kenyon Drake. I think TJ McDonald has really played well the last 6 weeks that he's played in regular season. The last 5 weeks of last year really showed what he could do. Just ask New England. And he played a really good game against Tennessee as far as being around the ball from everything that I'm reading and hearing. But then you got to throw in the fact that Tony Lippett, I think, is an underrated corner. I think he can cover Robinson. Is it Robinson? John, what's his name? The wide receiver for the Jets.
Quincy Enunwa and Robbie Anderson.
Robbie Anderson, thank you. I don't know why I was thinking the other one. I think he can cover Robbie Anderson. I think Miami could move the ball. I think Miami has a better offensive line than the Detroit Lions. And I think Tannehill is going to make better decisions with football because they are going to commit more to the running game than the Lions did, which means they're going to be more balanced. I got the Dolphins winning this game because I do think they're going to put pressure on Darnold. I think Darnold is going to need to throw for more than 198 yards. Yeah, sure, he might not throw a pick six, but he's going to throw a couple picks. I've got Miami winning this game. I'm going to say 27-20. Same score as last week. Now, it could be, 20-13. It could be 28-21. It's going to be a 7-point game. I could see Miami taking control of this thing early, then leaning on the running game and just controlling the ball. Don't forget, Cameron Wake is going to be around the football too. You know that as well as I do, Eric.
I know the Jets are riding high. And I know it's at home. And the Dolphins won without Devontae Parker. But that they were also playing a pretty hurt and depleted Tennessee team. I actually could see the Jets winning this game. And I say that because I think the Jets were able to find something in all three phases that they had Monday night against the Lions. And I know it was against the Lions, and I honestly think there's only one team worse than the Lions right now at this juncture. But Powell and Crowell are a pretty good tandem. Quincy Enunwa, he really opened my eyes against the Lions. He missed all of 2017 with a neck injury, and Robbie Anderson was still good last year, even though they had nobody to throw the ball. But I like this Jets defense and what they were able to do. I mean, yeah, sure, they were gifted 4 interceptions, and Tannehill won't do that. But the Jets defense just was all around the football, and they were all in the gaps. They said they knew Stafford's calls before he was even making them. And I don't know how much credit you can give to the Jets for this, but I know Tannehill's still coming back from his injury. Drake and Gore and Kenny Stills. Who knows if Kenny Stills is going to have another 100-yard game this year? You don't know. And that's why I like the Jets by 3. 24-21.
Close game. Well, I think we both agree it's going to be a fun one to watch.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, let's do your final one, and then we'll do my final one.
My final one is the Saints and Browns. The Browns can play any sort of defense against the Saints. Dare I say the Browns can win a game? But then I remember who the head coach is. And I see the Saints actually tearing up the Browns a new one. I don't think it's going to be close at all.
No.
Kamara's going to run through all the holes, and he's going to catch and have some big yak, if you will, yards after catch. Michael Thomas is going to have another big game. Ted Ginn Jr., he's going to get a home run ball. It's very possible that Drew Brees has another 400-yard game. I'm curious to see if it's even going to be close early as far as Tyrod Taylor. I know Jarvis Landry had a good game, but here's the funny thing. Cleveland said Josh Gordon was not going to start in week 1, and Josh Gordon ended up starting. They said that it was a personnel error from the coaches, and I think they did it on purpose. I think they're like, you're not starting, go out there.
Yeah.
So, Carlos Hyde, he might have some holes to run through, and Duke Johnson might get a little bit more involved in this game, but I see the Saints winning this one big.
Here's why the Saints are going to win this one 35-14. The Saints have one player on their team that the Browns cannot compete against. They have one player on their team, or one player that will be on the field, whether it's on the sidelines or between the white lines, that the Cleveland Browns cannot control the fact that they're on the field. And that person is Hugh Jackson. He's the biggest problem the Browns have. Duke Johnson continues to be ignored, even though he continues to be the only back to produce. You've got personnel and talent throughout that football team that he doesn't know how to utilize. He's still starting Tyrod Taylor, beyond my understanding. He's got a defense that plays great, but then they have to deal with the fact that Hugh Jackson runs the offense. Whether he's a coordinator or not, he orchestrates that deal. The Saints are angry. The Saints are home, I believe. And they've already proven they can put up 40. Does anybody believe the Browns can put up 21 again? I don't. Even against that defense. So I think the Browns have 3 major problems. And I'm saying this as a Browns fan, okay? Because they are literally, if not the only AFC team I root for, one of very few. They have a great back that they refuse to get the ball to. They have a talented wide receiver core, but they got the wrong guy under center. And they've got Hugh Jackson making the decisions. And whether it's his clock management, which is atrocious at the end of games, whether it's, come on. Are you kidding me? You run the ball in the rain to get field position after your penalty. What the Browns should have done is they should have thrown a sideline pattern. And then, personally, what do you have to lose? There's only one call to make in that situation if you're going to trot the field goal team out there. You've got a sloppy field, a wet, heavy ball, and terrible conditions. Those are 3 strikes against you on a field goal. But you have one tremendous advantage. There isn't a single person in that stadium that would have believed you were going to run a field goal, a fake field goal. You take your best receiver, you run him out there, you pick up the ball, and you throw it to him. You could have walked into the end zone backwards. You would have been so wide open. The Steelers sold out on that block. Okay, it's incomplete. You lose the game. Your odds of making you tie the game. Your odds of making the field goal were increasingly worse. But it's little decisions like that Hugh Jackson will not and is incapable of thinking about making that keeps the Browns in the position they're in. The Browns, I don't know if they're going to win a game this year. While I'm impressed with the talent, I'm still not impressed with the coach. He finds ways to lose games. Saints 35, Browns 14, until I see something otherwise. Rams, Cardinals. Oh, man. Dude, seriously. Could I be any happier that we're going to open up with the Cardinals at home? Thank you, schedule makers. I hope it's Sam Bradford because this sounds really bad. If he's going to get injured, it needs to be against the Rams. The very team that drafted him because of his injury problems needs to be the very team that ends his career due to injury problems. Now, I'm not saying a career-ending injury. I'm just saying like a hurt shoulder. And he's like, you know what? I ain't got it no more. It ain't worth the pain. I want to be able to play with my kids. I'm not playing anymore. And then he rides off in the sunset and he's healthy as a clam until he's 80 years old and lives to be 100. I don't care. I want to hit that son of a gun and cause as much pain on him emotionally, physically, as he put every Ram player and Ram fan through from the moment his name was called on the card to now. I don't hate Sam Bradford. I just never understood why somebody so mediocre got so much credit for so long for being mediocre. It's like Tavon Austin. So I don't wish the guy gets injured. I'm in a win-win. If Bradford plays, he's going to get crushed, and we'll see Rosen anyway. If Rosen starts, it's going to be a beautiful thing to watch. The Rams, they've played now. Week 2, they will struggle again, I believe, for most of the first half. And then they'll pull away again in the second half. And now that will help the Rams be in playing shape for the fight for LA, which is week 3. I just don't know if the Rams are at home or if they're in San Diego for that game, but it doesn't matter. Wouldn't that be funny if they played at Qualcomm? I'm sorry.
San Diego.
Right? Look, I think the Cardinals, they don't have any way to win this game. If they couldn't stop a good Redskins team, I don't know how they're going to stop a great Rams team. And I'll tell you, right now, there's one person I know for a fact that's out there that is scared beyond belief. They are terrified right now. And that's you. Because I'm going against you in fantasy this week.
Yeah, you're going to lose.
Yeah, and I got the Rams offense against the Cardinals pretty much. So you're in trouble. Just saying.
Yeah, well, I got Ben Roethlisberger at home, all right?
Yeah, that's going to be great. Watch, we'll put up 50. just like the friggin' Lions a few years ago. Anyway, look, I just think that the Rams, they're going to dominate this game from beginning to end. You know, it might be a 17-10, 17-7 game at halftime, but the Rams will pull away. I think they're going to win this thing. I'm going to say 44-10.
Oh, Jesus. Will you stop? I swear to you. You know what I'm going to say before I say it. I was going to say 41-10 Rams.
Nice.
Jeez. You know, David Johnson gets a first half score. The Rams finally put it into, you know, his running down the field. And the only way you lose is if Mike Lennon starts.
What? You're so stupid.
Wait a second. Hold on. No, I'm kidding. It doesn't matter who starts. You could have Neil Lomax come out of retirement.
That actually might scare me. He beat the crap out of us in '88.
The Cardinals are supposed to, the Cardinals the last 3 years have had a good defense. And, it didn't show up against the Redskins. They might, scheme against, making Goff beat them, but good luck. Okay, where they sell out to stop Gurley. I mean, Gurley's going to get his touches. He's going to get his yards. Okay, Gurley, the best way to neutralize the Cardinals' rush attack is to throw a screen pass over their heads to Gurley, let him take it 70 yards.
Right.
Okay, and that's going to happen. And the Cardinals are going. Actually, it's not going to happen because I'm facing you in fantasy.
I was just going to say, you're damn right, it's going to happen.
either that, or my Broncos defense is going to put up 50 points against the Raiders.
Oh, shut up! For those of you that don't know, Eric beat me one year because he picked up the Lions defense. They were playing Denver in Detroit. He picked.
Who was Denver's quarterback?
Jay Cutler. So.
Exactly.
He picks the friggin' Lions defense up on a whim. Friggin' Detroit puts up 50 points on defense. I'm like, ha! What? Dude,
I wish I could have saved your text message because right before the game, who picks up the Lions defense?
Right?
And I'm like, I do. And I needed a defense. And by the way, this is the 10-year anniversary.
Is it really? Jesus.
Yeah, that happened back in 2008.
Wow.
I go back from time to time and look at that box score, and I just start laughing.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Well, here's the thing: so that year Eric beat me by what? What did you beat me by? Like 84 points?
I swear it was closer to 100.
It was something ridiculous. But then you remember the next year where I beat you by almost the same score? Yeah, and then after that, the games got a little more leveled out, but it was just funny. I will never friggin' Lions defense. I'm still pissed, and that's 10 years ago now. Anyway, so yeah, I just look. You say 41-10. You're right. Whether it's going to be the screen pass to Gurley, I think the deep ball is actually going to work better this week, especially because I do think the Cardinals are going to put more people in the box with a concerted effort to stop Gurley just because he tore them up so bad in their two meetings. And I also think that they're gonna pay a little closer attention to Cooper Kupp because he tore him up in London. So, but then you got to cover Cooks. And I'm still waiting for the tight ends to show up.
And I'm curious who Patrick Peterson is going to cover because Cooks and Woods are both fast. He's not going to cover Kupp in the slot. So he's going to try to take away one half of the field and make Goff go the other half. So, whoever Peterson is not lining up on, and the Rams are going to switch up who goes on the Peterson side because Peterson usually stays to one side.
Yeah.
So, you're going to see both guys, have decent days, not an overly remarkable day, but Cooks will get his, Robert Woods will get his, and if Goff says, you know what, screw it, we're just going to throw to you, Cooper, the whole time because you're open, I'm going to take what they give me.
Yeah. It'll be interesting.
And that's where Jared Goff has dramatically improved from year 1 to year 2 to year 3, assuming he does improve in year 3 because he did such a great job last year. And it's a completely different coaching style. Again, you're going to hear me say that. It'll probably be the last time. because the Rams are under, new management, and they have a direction that they want to go, and that's to the Super Bowl. So.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm going to wrap up with this. You guys asked for more NFL. I'm sure you weren't thinking a 2-hour show, but this is our format. It's NFL one day, college the next. College will nowhere near be this long. But with the NFL, we still want to cover the games from the week before briefly or as briefly as we can. And then we like to highlight, like I said, 3 games each. Really 2 games each because I'm going to highlight the Rams. He's going to highlight the Bears. And then we find 2 other games that we want to talk about that we think are going to be significant, either to a playoff race, in the playoff picture, in a matchup, or just a good game worth watching, like the Colts and Bengals last week, which turned out to be true. Or whether it's, New England-Jacksonville this week, which Eric thinks is going to be the best game of the week. We will see. This is our format. So, guys, give the college one a try. It's worth it. It's really worth it. I think you guys will. If you don't know college football, you'll learn it. And if you do like college football, look, I'm going to be fair. It's tough to compete with college football analyst people. They're great. I love them all. And even the ones that annoy me, I think do a really unbelievable job. I'm not saying we can compete with that. It's not like the NFL experts where we can blow them out of the water on a daily basis. But we love college football, and it's fun, and you kind of get a fan feel for it. So give that show a shot. Eric, anything you want to add?
Yeah, actually, I'm looking forward to Sunday because I just checked the schedule. And for the early games, I get the Chiefs and Steelers, the Vikings and Packers, and then the Patriots and Jaguars.
Wow.
I'm happy as a clam in poop.
No kidding, right? That's pretty cool. I have to see what we got. But I have the ticket, so I can watch whatever I want. Sorry. That's it. So, I'm Anthony.
And I'm Eric.
Go Rams and
go Bears.
Boo Bears. Go Bears. Whatever. Guys, we hope you enjoy. Did you just say lambs?
I said rabbits.
Oh, rabbits.